Live by Night, directed by Ben Affleck and based off of a novel of the same name. This movie is about a man, Ben Affleck's character, who comes home from the war to be a gangster. This movie definitely overuses narration, and it is so annoying, it drives me crazy, and I don't like it. Okay? I hate narration. I will say that there is a lot of violence that takes place in this project, and it's very gratuitous. And you could say that the violence in this movie caters to the story. For an example, there's a scene of dialogue from Ellie Fanning's character towards Ben Affleck. And when she says these lines, so brief spoiler alert, Eli Fanning has a scene of dialogue that I feel perfectly wraps the movie in a nutshell. What she says is, "We are living in heaven, but we fucked it up." Because you could say that the nonsensical violence that takes place in this movie doesn't need to be there, and it's completely uncalled for. But what she says ties it all up, and it's like, okay, so you're watching all of this violence unfold on screen, but what is the context of this violence? It's just really repetitive, but what is the context of it? You could say what Eli Fanning's character says in this movie perfectly illustrates the context of the violence in this movie, because there is a lot of violence, and I feel that a lot of it was completely unnecessary and uncalled for. It just felt like Ben Affleck was putting all this violence on screen to be cool or something and be like, look at this shot, look how cool it is, versus catering it to the story and being like, okay, this violence really illustrates how cruel society is and how cruel the world can be. You could say it does that, but when you watch the movie, there's like all of these different plots going on. Like, the movie is completely jumbled with so many different plots and so many different elements to it that I feel like once the violence comes in, it overshadows any sort of narrative I felt the movie had. And so I didn't care about any character in this movie. I didn't care about any of the action scenes. The only response that this movie got from me was during the action scenes when I was like, oh wow, look at that, that is so gruesome. You know, other than that, I was really numb the entire time watching this. I don't really care about any character that was presented to me in this movie. Like, I don't gravitate towards any character. Like, I'm not saying that every movie that I watch has to have a character that I like. I can watch a movie and not like a particular character, but still overall enjoy the movie. With this, that's not the case. With this, it's just like, I don't care about any of the characters in this movie. I have a sense and understanding of, you know, what they're doing, but then the movie moves so rapidly that, you know, you don't have time to gravitate towards anyone or to really feel a sense of communication towards any particular character. Things just happen. You know, you'll have one thing going on over here, which is, you know, storyline A, and you're like really interested in that, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm curious to see what happens with this. And then storyline B comes in and just knocks out storyline A, so then storyline A is discarded very briefly, and you're forced to pay attention to storyline B, which is not all that interesting. And then you have narration on top of that. Now, you can say what you want about Ben Affleck as an actor, fine. But as a director, he's phenomenal. But his performance in this movie, to me, felt very stiff. Like, he didn't really do much. Like, I wasn't really impressed with his body language or his facial expressions. he just seemed to be there like a brick wall. Like I wasn't really impressed with anything as far as acting is concerned with him in this movie. Like, he did nothing for me. Ben Affleck is not a really good actor. He's a capable actor, but he's not a great actor or someone that I believe can really carry a movie. Zoe Saldana in this movie, I didn't care about her character. I didn't really feel anything for her character. I didn't care. It's not that I didn't like the character. I mean, I can't say I liked or didn't like the character. Zoe Saldana is a really good actor, but her role in this movie is very minimal, and she doesn't really do anything to further the story or anything. She's just there, and she's beautiful, and that's really it. And then it's like, you know, she doesn't... I just don't care. She doesn't really do anything for me in this movie. Chris Cooper stands out to me in this movie. Chris Cooper has some really good scenes, and this movie definitely showcases how skilled of an actor Chris Cooper is. Like, Chris Cooper has some really good dialogue, some really good scenes. He's very effective in this movie. His character goes from point A to point B, so his progression is firmly solid. I would say out of all of the actors in this movie, Chris Cooper is the most effective, because I feel like Chris Cooper has some of the best pieces of dialogue and character to chew on, and so Chris Cooper's is the standout performance to me in this movie. Brendan Gleeson. I love me some Brendan Gleeson. Brendan Gleeson, for his small amount of screen time, I feel that he shines the most, because he doesn't really seem like he's like pushing his acting to be like, okay, I'm gonna do something that's, you know, dynamic and all that stuff. To me, it seems like he's just doing the normal thing where it's like, oh, I come in, I perform, and I leave. And that's what he does. And he does it well. He does it really, really well. I liked what Brendan Gleeson did. He does his job well. I have no complaints in the aspect of his performance. Shout out to Anthony Michael Hall, though, because Anthony Michael Hall's in this movie, and I knew he was in this movie, but then when he pops up on screen, I had no idea that was him, and last time I saw him was in The Dark Knight, and he did not look like the way he did in this movie, so shout out to Anthony Michael Hall. He definitely deserves some recognition for his performance. Ben Affleck is one of the best directors working in the business today. He knows how to direct a project. This movie's no different. This movie is very stylish. It's beautiful to look at. It's clean. It's crisp. The pacing is the pacing in this movie is handled very well. I don't care about any of the characters. I don't care about what happened to them. I don't care about who lived or who died. I didn't care about any of the characters' progression, because I didn't feel any sense of gravitas towards anybody. The movie is I hate to say this, but it's boring. It's a very boring movie, and you could say, like, yeah, the highlight of the film is the violence, because the violence in this movie, I would say, is perfectly depicted of realism. Like, you know, you'll see someone get shot and it looks completely real. Like, you'll see someone get thrown off a building, which you see in the first trailer. It looks very real. You know, this movie doesn't hold any punches towards the violence, And that's fine, that's okay, but then when you just constantly repeat the same thing over and over and over again, I just become numb to it, and I'm just like, okay, what is the context of this? Like, why is this even here? And so when I kept seeing it on screen, I was just like, yeah, it's exciting, and you could say it's fun, I guess, because it's a movie, it's not real, but it's just like, I don't feel anything. All these people getting killed, it's horrifying, but I don't really care, because it's just, what is the context of this? Yeah, you could say, well, it's because it's all reactionary. It's all reactionary, and so what one person does is getting sent to someone else, and they react to whatever this person did to them. So you could say it's very reactionary. It's like real life, people kill each other. It's just like real life, people kill each other over nonsense every single day. And that's what this movie is. It's just, I don't know. Here's this movie in a nutshell. It has gratuitous violence. The story is very messy. The characters aren't memorable. And the directing is flawless. Like, that's how I view this movie. And it hurts me when I say this, because when I watch a movie, I want more than that. I mean, you can have the directing be very stylized, you can have very intense music, and you can have, really great actors in your movie as well. But if I'm not interested in the story that the movie is presenting to me, then I just lose interest. And I lost interest with this. Like, once the movie started, I was like, okay, I'm involved, I'm game. But then as it progressed and went on and on and on, and the violence just kept happening, the narration just kept happening, then like a certain storyline would come in and then be discarded, then like the movie would focus on something else, and then we'll jump over here and focus on this. There was no time to really learn or develop any character in this movie to where I had a sense of communication with them. I understood what they were doing, but I didn't care. I didn't care at all. And so that was a problem for me, and I was very upset by the time I left the theater. Nothing in this movie is memorable. Nothing in this movie, this movie's a mess. This movie's just a complete mess. This movie is very frustrating. It's very frustrating because Ben Affleck has so much potential. He can do way better than this. This is not my favorite movie from him as a director. I would say this is like his weakest movie, even though this is his best directing he's ever put on the screen. But then that's not really saying much as far as like having a good story is concerned, which is sad. I don't know what else to say about this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. We are currently living in heaven, but us humans are fucking it up. And I like that statement in the movie from her character. And it perfectly ties everything in a nutshell.